Hey, this is Holly Kleinmeyer. I did my topic on gangs and delinquency, and more specifically, I did my subtopic on the history of gangs. This was chapter 9, and here we go. So in the presentation, it starts with Jada. She talks about what is a gang, and then it goes into mine, which is the history of gangs. So I did a little timeline, and it all started back in the 14th century, so that's 1301 to about 1400s, and it all started in Europe. Within Europe, it was England mostly because that was a major city, and it was the first documentation of gangs within Europe. Now, the gangs that all the articles talked about were more considered to be highway robbers, and a highway robber is someone who commits a crime within or on a highway against unknown travelers. So like new people coming to the area, they would come and steal stuff from them. They were not like super serious gangs, it was just mostly highway robbers, but they were still considered gangs. Then in the 1600s, in London, England, more structured gangs were happening, and they kind of had names now. They had names such as the Mims, Hectors, Buggles, and the Dead Boys. There's a lot more names, but those were the main ones that came up. And these gangs were more structured, and they started to break windows, demolish taverns, and they were fighting and stuff, so they were more gang-like. And they also fought each other wearing different colored ribbons to specify what gang they were in. So that's how that whole thing kind of started too. Then we go to the United States. After the American Revolutionary War in 1783, street gangs in the Northeast started, mainly in New York City because it was a major city. And these gangs started to come to the United States because the overcrowding in the new urban areas, and a lot of immigrants were coming from all over to the United States to live here. So with the overcrowding and the new urban environment, a lot of people have like this common identity, and that's mainly in the definition of a gang. People with a common identity that's how they find each other, and that's how it kind of a gang forms. So these people that were coming in these gangs in the United States, they were mostly white people. They were poor, large families in search for work and finding a place to live and adjusting to this new urban life that they're not used to. Now, with all these common similarities between everyone, they started to form gangs, and they were trying to fit in and alter this life, and that's how the gangs in the United States began. Now, in the 1990s to the current times, gangs started to become very modern, and they are more like the gangs that are happening today. They are very physical, altercation, and they're all over now. 4 major regions within the emerging of gangs throughout the United States was the Northeast, the Midwest, the West, and the South. Now, it started with the Northeast because it all started in New York City and these urban areas and everyone immigrating from England and Ireland and everywhere over there to here. Then it went to the Midwest, then to the West, and then finally to the South. And it stated that the South didn't come till much later in time. Now, each of these regions had a major influence on the growth and characteristics of each gang. So all the Western gangs had more of a Mexican kind of culture to them compared to the ones in the South. Now, in the West, the gangs immigrated from Mexico to California from route to Los Angeles. So that's where most of the West gangs grow, and they had the Mexican influence. And currently today, there are many different types of gangs. Some examples are youth gangs, motorcycle gangs, prison gangs, and street gangs, and there's so many more. Thank you.